Alright, hello everybody. Today I'm going to do a video on the Colt 1908 Vest Pocket 25 Auto. I've got a couple examples here. This here is an early gun made in 1912. And this is a very late gun made in 1940 or 41. These guns were made from about 1908 up until the beginning of the U.S. Involvement in World War II, around 1940, 1941. And they were not made, have not been made since. There was about a little over 400,000 of these made, so there was a lot of them sold. They were very popular. I know in today's age with the mini 9s and high capacity guns and 40s and 45s at the 25 is joked about these days, but these things were very popular back in the day, as a lot of small caliber pistols and revolvers were for defense purposes, and they probably got the job done most of the time. These are very small. Like I said, I can easily stick them in your pocket and forget they're there. John Browning design. It's a 6-round magazine and one in the chamber. It is a striker fired gun. Those of you think that striker fired guns are a relatively new development, these were striker fired guns, and if I take one apart later in the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. The early gun here is in very good condition. This gun's been in my family possibly since it was new. It retains probably 90+% of its original fire blue finish, which this finish is early 1900s Colt. You don't see this finish used on standard Colt semi-automatics past probably World War I. At least I haven't. They're still extremely nicely finished after World War I, but the early 1900s, say 1913 and earlier, they were even polished even higher, and you can tell that when this gun was brand new, it was absolutely beautiful, along with any of the other ones that they made at the time. This one here is all original except for the grips. It has some Franzite grips on it. I believe that's what they are. Originally, it would have come with black hard rubber grips. It would have said Colt on them, and they would have been a round top. They would have been round on the top. The very early guns, say the guns made in the first, 4 to 6 years, had what they call round top grips. And then around 13 to 15, they started going to the square top shape like these are here. And they ran those square top hard rubber grips until, don't quote me, but I believe the late 20s or so. And then they started using the wood grip. Like I said, it shoots 25 auto, kind of a little pipsqueak round. Probably comparable in power to a 22 long rifle. Here is an example of both rounds next to each other. 25 auto is a center fire round, whereas the long rifles are rimfire. This one here is a 50 grain full metal jacket bullet, which is probably about all you could get back in the day, running probably out of these barrels probably no more than 750 feet per second. So people compare them in power to the 22 long rifle, but in all actuality, they might be a little bit less powerful, but they fed better and they were more reliable as far as old ammo was more reliable. When it got old, it was more reliable. The center fires and rim fires weren't quite as reliable, particularly when they get some age on them. But anyway, that's a comparison of the rounds. Like I said, these hold 6 in the mag and then 1 in the chamber. They do have a safety on the side, so I guess you could carry it cocked and locked if you wanted to do that. This is example made in 1941, and it has probably about 60% finish. It would have been a very beautiful blue when it was new, but not much of it's left. You do see still some traces of case hardening on the hammer and the safety, and don't really see much left on the grip safety. But the only other difference between the early one and the late one is the late ones, I know they have a magazine disconnect. I think they added that sometime in the 30s. So a magazine disconnect allows the gun, if you don't have a magazine disconnect and the magazine's out of the gun and there's one in the chamber, it will still fire. They added a magazine disconnect later in production. Or if the magazine was out of the gun, it will not fire. What the purpose is, I don't know. I'm sure it's a safety issue. I'm sure something happened or happened regularly that they decided they need to add that. A lot of guns did have that added as time went on. I know the high power had it. I have a Smith & Wesson semi-automatic made in the 90s that has a magazine disconnect. I personally don't like them, but they are what they are, and 99% of the time they're not a factor. But even back then they were adding safety devices to make us safer. So anyway, you can see the obvious difference in the finish between the early and the late gun. There's a couple different little profile differences. The distance from the serrating to the back of the slide to the serrating is different as far as when it starts on the early versus the late gun. I mean, there's obviously manufacturing differences. I mean, this is a 30-year span between this gun and this gun. This one here, like I said, it's still showing pretty good traces of case hardening on the trigger and the safety also. And you can also see it on the grip safety. The grip safeties on these, you got to be very conscious of making sure they're depressed. You have to have a good tight grip on them. The sights, just a tiny little sight on the back with a little nubbin on the front. And in all honesty, probably just better off not using them. I don't know how effective they would be. I mean, it would take you forever to line them up. They're so small. I have shot this one. Like I said, this one's been in my family for an extremely long time. But it's probably been 35 years since I've shot it. I probably put a couple magazines through it. I was able to hit paper at 25 yards. Would I rely on it? If it was all I had, I would. Today's day and age, there's better options, obviously. This one here, I've never fired it, but it actually feels it's even more firm and than the old one. These are blowback guns, so they're sprung pretty heavy. So, and given their small size, they can be a little bit of a chore to rack to make sure you get one in the chamber. Like I said, reload them. They don't have a last round hold open, so your last shot's fired. Pull the mag out, put a new mag in. It's got the European release, so it's not just a button. You have to rack slide again, and it's ready to go. As far as assembly and disassembly, on these are not for the weak-hearted. It's not difficult, but it's not what I would call easy either, especially given how easy guns are to disassemble in the modern age. But at any rate, we'll make an attempt at this, and looking through the camera and doing it at the same time is not going to be easy. But remove the magazine, and you need to pull the slide back to a point where if you're grabbing onto the barrel and you try to pressure clockwise, keep pulling that slide back until you can feel the barrel turn. You turn it about a quarter of the way, let slow forward on the slide, and there you are. So be mindful of the parts you have here. But right here you have this thing here drops and releases the striker. Your striker is right here. So this will sit on the frame. It'll rest in here. It's hard to do this through the camera, so forgive me. But this thing will slide back, and that hook there will engage on the bottom of that striker and hold it back. And then when you pull the trigger, the striker will go forward and hit the primer. So that shows the different parts of that. Then you have your recoil rod and your recoil spring. And the barrel, you're going to turn it back to its original position, quarter turn down, and it will come out of the slide, which, like I said, it's hard to do on the camera here. And that's a Colt 25 auto barrel right there. We're going to slip this all back together. Put the striker in the back of the slide. And what we want to do whenever we line this up, we want to put the recoil rod end in the hole in the frame. Put the slide on the front, making care to make sure everything's lined up in the end of the slide. So when you pull it back, and your striker is going to rest in there. And this is where the dexterous part comes in, if that's a word. And make sure my lugs are lined up here. So your lugs are going to be right there. And you're going to pull, oh, maybe I don't have it right there. Okay, all the way as far clockwise as it'll go. And then you're going to push that slide back until turning counterclockwise on the barrel, you find its groove, and you turn it, and everything's back together again as it should be. Like I said, if you have one of these and you're not real mechanically inclined, I would not take it apart. If you're confident, go ahead and go for it. If you need to clean one and you don't want to take it apart, the safety also acts as a slide stop, although it's all manual. So you're going to slide it back, take the safety, and you're going to engage that notch right there. And then you can clean the barrel if you need to that way. Like most semi-automatics, especially these older ones, but all of them, don't let the slide slam home on an empty chamber. It's not good for it. Anyway, that's pretty much it on the 1908 Colt Pocket Vest Pocket 25 Auto. Like I said, it's a John Browning designed gun. There was a FN version that he designed. I believe it's a 1906 that FN made. It came out obviously a couple years before this one. I'd love to pick one of those up. And then there's a Baby Browning that came out later on. I don't know if he designed it or not. But it's actually even a little bit smaller than this. And they stopped importing them, I believe, after the 1968 Gun Control Act because of their size. But I love these little guns. And these are just a part of history. They're tiny, they're cool. They will do some damage. Do not be fooled. They'll kill somebody. I mean, they're dangerous. And the fact that they're small does not mean that they're easier to handle. You can easily get your hand in front of the barrel very easily. I mean, I could almost, holding it, I can almost put my finger around the front of it. Not that I would ever do that, obviously, but if you're not familiar with guns, you know, there's something to be, definitely, the smaller they are, the more dangerous they can be, just because of their size alone. And there are a lot of these out there, stuck in corners, back in drawers, jammed in walls of houses, hidden away forever, that people run across. And it's like I said, there's a lot of them out there. Good little guns. I might have to take them out and shoot them again here pretty soon. Haven't shot them in a while. Like I said, this one here has been forever and I've never shot this one. Maybe I'll make a video shooting these. We'll see how bad they shoot, or how bad I shoot them. How about that? Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video. You all have a good day.